is the 9th facility for Recycling Partners of Jamaica. The depot, which has the capacity to collect 120,000 pounds of plastic per month, will serve central Jamaica.
The government is very happy with the collection taking place from RPJ's efforts and investments because ultimately plastics are cheap and bulky, so they're expensive to collect. It's like trucking air. So every dollar invested in collecting and building these sorts of depots is actually a significant investment in our waste management challenge.
Minister Samuda reveals that Jamaica is #1 in the Caribbean for its rate of recovery and recycling of plastic bottles monthly. Upwards of 40% of that is attributed to Recycling Partners of Jamaica.
If Jamaica is going to continue on the road that we have started on to make progress, meaningful progress, on managing our plastic problem, we have to do it. There's no point in waiting around for some global treaty that is going to give us clear guidance and obligate us to do it. It really is up to us. Our fortunes are entirely in our own hands.
The Jamaica Constabulary Force JCF's capacity has been bolstered with the donation of 203 technology assets from the Republic of Korea. The items, valued at over $407,000, include 30 forensic camera kits, 62 laptops, and 111 tablets. They were handed over on Wednesday at the Office of the Commissioner of Police in Kingston. The National Security Minister and Police Commissioner agree that the donation represents a substantial investment in Jamaica's security apparatus and a strengthening of the partnership between both countries.
These are tools, not just equipment. They're vital enablers of modern law enforcement. They will significantly boost the Jamaica Constabulary Force's ability to manage crime scenes.
And this donation aligns seamlessly with the Jamaica Constabulary Force vision for a digital transformation in law enforcement by enhancing data management, improving workflow efficiency, and empowering officers with cutting-edge tools for a more modern, effective, and people-centered police force.
Charge d'Affaires at the Embassy of the Republic of Korea, Jinwook Kim, says the donation is in support of Jamaica's ongoing efforts to enhance citizen security.
We are grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this crucial area of public safety and security.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, is reporting that normality should resume within the next 2 weeks for regular garbage collection, which is being impacted by rainfall. Director of Operations Aretha McFarlane explains that trucks have had to be withdrawn from service due to disposal sites being oversaturated with water.
We have been taking steps to address those issues. We would have bought loads of river shingles. We would have put stones on it to sort of get some traction on the landfill so that the trucks can go on with some ease and tip off.
Ms. McFarlane says the agency is seeing better days now and it has increased the number of trips being made to reduce the backlog to single digit. Also, in anticipation of extra solid waste being generated during the Yuletide season, the NSWMA will be ramping up its operation with additional trucks and sweepers. Special focus will be placed on town centres and market districts across the island to ensure the spaces are clean.
We will be working right back to New Year's with the additional support of staff, resources, to keep the town centres, the market districts, and Jamaica clean, as a whole clean.
Meanwhile, the NSWMA says it will be enforcing a no-tolerance approach to the illegal disposal of solid waste by individuals and businesses. As such, it will be dispatching enforcement officers across the island. The Director of Operations is appealing to people not to use illegal dumping sites or create new ones, as these contribute to a diversion of resources to deal with the issue.
We have to ensure for those persons who are not prepared to behave the right way, or enforcement officers, along with the police that will be out, we will have sufficient surveillance and persons will be dealt with accordingly. It is, in fact, a collective duty, a collective responsibility, No amount of trucks you put in the system will be able to run behind illegal dumping and littering.
Good morning, Jamaica, and welcome to our post-cabinet press briefing for December 11, 2024. And I want to acknowledge our guests who are here today, the Honorable Favour Williams, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, and we also have the Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, our Minister with responsibility for Works. We're also expecting some other guests to join us, including the Financial Secretary, Darlene Morrison, should be here today. With us also, we have Dr. Kassan Troop, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. We also have Terry Ann Thomas Gale, our Acting CEO in the Ministry, which is Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. And we also have other members of the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Finance team who are here with us, members of the media and the team from GIS and OPM, or other specially invited guests, any Jamaican who is watching home and abroad, good morning to you again. And so as I start today, I'll just note a few notable things from the past week. One of them you're going to hear about from Minister Morgan, who is going to talk about road work. As you go around Jamaica, that's what everybody is talking about, the condition of the roads, but the government is listening and the government is doing really important things in order to address the condition of the road. And you'd have seen the signed contract for the start of work on the Spark, and I know Minister Morgan will speak to that, in addition to the $2 billion emergency island-wide main road patching program that has been implemented. There are other good things happening in Jamaica that we don't talk about. We also welcomed some very large cruise ships, and it hasn't really made news. And last week in Falmouth, you saw 2 of these huge new cruise ships in the harbor. And it signaled a new type of tourist coming to Jamaica. And one of those ships can actually hold up to 4,000 people. So these are super ships. And I'm happy to see them, and I know Minister Williams is happy to see them, because when we think about our GDP, it's so much linked to tourism and receipts from the tourism sector, and we're very happy to see that. The upcoming 24-25 winter tourist season, which starts on December 15 in a few days, is expected to be highly successful for Jamaica. And the Honorable Ed Bartlett has noted that we are seeing increased visitors, especially from South America, where we have 45,000 extra seats added. So 45,000 extra seats have been added for flights originating from South America. And this is very much driven by LATAM Airlines flights from Lima, Peru, that are going to Santos International Airport. And these flights are originating and connecting with several other South American countries. Jamaica remains a top choice for travelers from key markets, and this includes the UK. We surpass Barbados in terms of popularity of destination for UK tourists, and Canada, the booking numbers are quite good for Canada. So we're expecting a good winter tourist season, which we are very, very happy about. Another thing to highlight, JUTC making very important strides in expanding its service, starting in St. Thomas, starting with 2 buses, but the residents of St. Thomas are very excited about that. And we are also looking at doing much more through the Ministry of Transport, especially in even looking at the rural bus service for students, which is important. And so we've started the conversations around that. One thing, and I hope, I'm going to say it, and I hope Minister Williams says it too, is that the reverse income tax credit deadline has been extended, and it is by popular demand. Everybody wants their $20,000, Minister, and they're very grateful for their $20,000, and it's been extended to December 13. So that's 2 days away. So this Friday is the extension, and we ask that Jamaicans do sign up if they are eligible for that. And so I'm going to stop there. There are many more, and I think maybe I should do this last one. The unemployment number, down to 3.6%. 3.6% in Jamaica. I never thought you'd ever see a number like that for unemployment in our country. It is a tremendous feat. When we talked about Jamaica in the past, we spoke about high unemployment, that was normal. High youth unemployment, that was normal. But now, because of all the hard work of many Jamaicans and the administration, we are at 3.6% unemployment. Obviously, that also leads to other issues and concerns in terms of the economy, but what it does say is that the economy is doing very well, and that we have been able to steer the ship in the right direction and to lead us through some very choppy waters. And I say congratulations to everybody who has had a part to play in that achievement, 3.6% unemployment for Jamaica. And so I'm going to have our first guest come, and that is the Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, who is going to speak to you about all the important things he is doing as Minister with responsibility for works. And so let's get straight into it, Minister Morgan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dana. Thanks to you for inviting me here this morning. Also, thanks to the members of the media who are here, the support staff from the Jamaica Information Service and PBCJ. And I see Mr. Shaw from NWA, who should actually be the one doing this presentation, sitting in the audience. I just wanted to give updates on some of the two of the more important infrastructure initiatives that we've been doing, or we've launched over the past couple of weeks. We're at the beginning, Minister, of one of the most transformative journeys that we've ever embarked on. which is, you could consider it the next chapter in Jamaica's infrastructure development. And that is the launch of the $45 billion Spark program. Why is this important? It is for the first time that we have a program that is pretty much dedicated to fixing our community roads. One of the biggest complaints that we've had as a government is we're fixing highways, but what about the communities? This is the answer to that query. So it is $20 billion in the first tranche of a $45 billion allocation, $40 billion for roads, $5 billion for water infrastructure. We're focused on improving connectivity in communities, ensuring safe and reliable travel for Jamaicans. It includes not digging up the roads after the roads are fixed to lay water pipes, but putting in the pipes while the roads are being fixed. It includes redesign of roads that have never been designed in the first place. It includes a comprehensive drainage design for these roads to ensure that they last longer. It includes a defects liability period where the main contractor is obligated, without cost to the government, to fix any flaw that comes up within a year after the road has been handed over. And I want to mention, because some persons, I think, may have misunderstood how the South Coast Highway Improvement Project is going. Any defect that occurs on the South Coast Highway Improvement Project between Harbourview and Portland before handover has to be fixed by the main contractor. And up to 2 years after handover, they are obligated to fix any defect that occurs. We are not even at handover stage yet. So the defects that we found a couple months ago, the main contractor has to fix them at absolutely zero cost to the people of Jamaica. It's a 120-odd kilometer road. We found defects in about 4% of that 120-odd kilometer. The people of Jamaica have been clamoring for relief from the potholes. As a listening government, we have heard the clamors and we have felt the potholes ourselves. And we initially allocated $3 billion to the National Works Agency and assigned some to constituencies to do road repairs. We have had a period of unprecedented rainfall, which have not only caused our roads to become more damaged, but have prevented us from doing the necessary repairs that we have scheduled. So the issue is not about finding resources to repair a large portion of the roads that have challenges. The issue was when we did try to repair some of these roads, the rains would have stopped us, and we made the decision that we should not try to patch roads in rain, as we will lose our asphalt and the people of Jamaica will complain that we are not being efficient with the spending of their resources. Currently, recently the Prime Minister announced an emergency road repair program of $2 billion. I can announce that Cabinet has approved that program on Monday, and we expect contracts to be issued to the contractors before the end of the week so that we can start doing the work, since we have seen some signs in some areas that the rains have abated to some extent, though we had the rains yesterday in Kingston. And we also had in Clarendon as well. But there are some areas of the country where the rains have taken a break. We're going to use that window to repair the roads. We're prioritizing with this $2 billion main roads. Roads like Grand Spen Road, that I've received numerous calls about. Minister Faval tells me about the Augustown Road and Hermitage Road. Papi into Garden Town. Minister Cuthbert told me about a road, Red Hills, going up to the hills. We've gotten requests from St. James, Hanover, the Seawall Road between Negril and Lucy. We've gotten, we did some work on Spur Tree, but there's still some more work need to be done on Spur Tree. The people of Clarendon, Maypen to Forepass, Denby, Osborne Store, Porus, they have asked There are so many areas, and the National Works Agency will be using this $2 billion as efficiently as possible to do a quick work in repairing these roads based on the national emergency. The Spark Initiative and the REACH Initiative, REACH $5 billion emergency repair and normal repair. These are about people. The repairing of roads, while it's asphalt and marl and heavy equipment, is about people. It's about the fact that our people have challenges with the roads, challenges that have an economic impact on them, whether it be car tires, whether it be the fixing of their vehicles. We have to make every effort to give relief to our people in a transparent way and an accountable way. We are following all the procurement processes to the T, both in the REACH program and the Spark program. Spark was an internationally tendered program, and it is open to scrutiny from anyone who wants to examine it because we have followed the rules. We are not going to act in a non-transparent way or a non-accountable way. These are key steps in the next chapter, doing the work but doing it in a transparent and accountable way. I want to say, finally, that when we fix roads, it's not just about asphalt, as I said to you. It's about economic growth. It's about social equity. Fixing community roads equalizes people. The cost of transport in rural Jamaica is significantly higher than the cost of transport in urban Jamaica. A big part of the reason is the quality of roads in rural Jamaica and the cost to transport operators in operating in these areas. It means that there's an economic disincentive in many rural parts for people to invest and people to do business because of road infrastructure. We're fixing that. It's also about disaster resilience. One of the big conversations we're having these days is about climate change, and we can see around us the impact of climate change. We have to build disaster resilient infrastructure. It's about digital transformation. Many of these roads that we will be repairing will have data ducts or fiber optic ducts pre-installed in these roads. So we don't have to do what we have to be doing now, Minister, where you are in charge of digital transformation, where you're still in charge of digital transformation, where we have to be digging the roads to lay fiber optic cables. We are removing that as a risk in our road development. I want to mention something that I saw personally, not personally, but from a constituency perspective. Before I became Minister of Works, one of the biggest objectives I had as a Member of Parliament is repairing roads in my constituency. I grew up in a constituency that had bad roads. The reason I entered politics was because of a bad road in front of my gate. Since I've been a Member of Parliament, we've repaired over 40 roads in North Central Clarendon to the tune of almost $200 million. We've repaired roads thanks to the Prime Minister and thanks to former Minister Warmington. I saw someone commenting that the state of roads in North Central is the worst it has ever been. I will say to them, the state of roads in North Central is the best it has ever been. But better is to come as we are continuing our efforts to repair more roads in North Central Clarendon. We are currently repairing roads under the REACH program, under the Christmas program, and several other major initiatives, including this emergency program. So I say to the residents of North Central Clarendon, better must come, and North Central will be better. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Do I stay?
All right. So, Minister Morgan spoke about many things. The Spark program, which is transformational. He also spoke about the emergency repairs to all the potholes that every single one of us have been experiencing across the country. And he is committed to work starting very soon. He's doing contracts this week. And so, Naomi, I'll open up to you to see if there are any questions for Minister Morgan on infrastructure work that's being done.
All right. Good morning, Minister. Thank you so much. I think we have two members of the media with us here today. I'm not seeing that they have any questions. Oh, well, Mahiri has raised his hand. All right.
Morning, Minister Morgan. Mahiri Stewart from Nationwide here. Just asking a follow-up. I remember you saying a couple post-cabs ago that 62 of the 63 constituencies had submitted their roads of concern regarding the program that's going on. Can you confirm whether or not that one outstanding constituency has submitted?
Yes, I can confirm that that constituency will have their consent.
Thank you so much. Minister, I'm seeing online where there is a request just to give an update on the website. If it's live and we're doing the updates, given that the roadworks have started.
So the website is Spark. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me now? So the website is sparkjamaica.gov.jm. It's an official Government of Jamaica website. It is live, but what I want to say to members of the public that it's a live website in the very colloquial sense of the word, meaning it is constantly being updated with new information and changes. So for example, when we launched the website, you saw a list of roads that were uploaded. We are adding more roads to that list. I think the list had about 500 and other roads on it. There are 63 constituencies. Each constituency would have given us 10 road recommendations. So the list should be 630 thereabout. So we have to keep updating it as the roads are assessed and added to the list. We've also added the proposed list of main roads that will be repaired as well. Though these lists are not 100% final, as the Spark program evolves, you're going to see roads added, roads taken off, and so on, because of the nature of what we're doing. We're also going to be adding to the website the schedule of repair. We have not reached that stage yet, as we have to wait on certain internal administrative actions. For example, assessment of which roads are quicker to repair, like, for example, the low-hanging fruit. So if a road needs a pipe to be dug, we may be able to repair another road that does not need a new pipe to be installed, and so on. So you can look out for that. We're also going to post the contracts. We're going to post the governance framework on the website so people can look out for that. So it's sparkjamaica.gov.jm. And it's live and it's being updated consistently. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. I see no further questions. So, Minister Morris Dixon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Naomi, and thanks for those questions. And again, you can go on the website, please. I had someone say when they went on the website and they looked at the roads for their constituency, they were not happy. They didn't think those were the right roads. And my question was, did you go to the consultations that they had? And the person said, no, I didn't. And I said, well, those who went to the consultations are the ones that were nominating the roads. And so it's very important. When we say we're all about transparency as a government, we really are serious about it. With Spark, the roads that are on the website that have been selected were selected based on consultation with the residents of that constituency. And you heard the minister say, even the contract's going to be online. When we're ready to work, that's going to be online. When we're finished, you're going to know online. That is a level of transparency that we've never seen in infrastructure work. And so I commend you, Minister Morgan, and the team for all the work that you are doing, because it is saying to Jamaica that we believe it's important to fix the roads, but we also believe it is important that we get value for money and that we are as transparent as we can possibly be in doing this work. All right, so I am going to move on to our next topic, and it's an important topic, which we've seen in the news quite a bit, and it relates to appropriations accounts and some stories that have very much been taken out of context. And this morning we're here to give clarity on those reports and for us to talk about the fact that there's no missing funds. And so we have with us this morning two very important women with us. We have our Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Favour Williams, with us. And we have our Financial Secretary, Darlene Morrison, with us here today at Post Cabinet. And so I'm going to ask the Minister if she could come and speak first, and then we'll invite the Financial Secretary after. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Allow me to begin by acknowledging my colleague Minister, Honorable Robert Nesta Morgan, who had to slip out, colleague Minister, Senator the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, our Financial Secretary, Ms. Darlene Morrison. I know we have P.S. Troop here from the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, and Chief Education Officer, Mrs. Terrian Thomas Gale. Members of the media, Jamaicans all, good morning again. Making the rounds in social media, emails, and other media is an article written by Kimon Francis of the Jamaica Gleaner about findings by Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal that some $3 trillion are accounted for or unaccounted for. In that same article, I want to highlight that Kimon of the Gleaner said that Jeanette Calder, Executive Director of Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, herself said, it is not that the money is missing. It is that reports due to the Auditor General have not been submitted by several ministries. So I want to repeat that. It is not that the money is missing. It is that reports due to the Auditor General have not been submitted by several ministries. Appropriations accounts are annual reports that are to be submitted to the Auditor General to allow the Auditor General to do an audit. Appropriations accounts reflect the ministry's expenditure in a financial year compared against the amounts approved by Parliament for the respective ministries. I believe it will help Jamaicans to understand the process of how money gets spent in government, because there are many safeguards along the way in the spending of taxpayers' money. So each year in October, the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service puts out what is known as the budget call. And this goes out to all ministries. The respective ministries would compile their budgets for the year within certain guidelines and submit those to the Ministry of Finance. These budgets are reviewed, the budgets from each ministry are reviewed by the Ministry of Finance and the respective ministries, as the budgets have to be within prescribed limits, which are known as ceilings. The figures from these budgets are compiled into what is called the Yellow Book that is presented to Parliament by March of the fiscal year for approval. So this is the Yellow Book, and in it you will find the budgets for all our ministries in there. And this is available online at the Ministry of Finance's website as well. After Parliament approves the budget, it is changed to this color, a gray color, and it says, as passed by the House of Representatives, and it will give the date that this was passed. During the year, on a monthly basis, ministries will submit their monthly cash flows to the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to indicate their spend for the month. And this spend could include salaries, what's needed for capital spending, and other operational activities. In the case of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, their spend would include how much they have to use to pay back, to make debt payment and interest payments. To my certain knowledge, or to my understanding, ministries do not have cash or checkbooks. I never saw cash at the Ministry of Education and Youth when it was called that when I was there. I never saw cash at the Ministry of Science and Technology when I was there. And I'm sure across different ministries you don't have cash that you spend. You have to go through the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service on a monthly basis with your cash flows. Any funds allocated to ministries for what the ministry is spending on goes through the Accountant General for payment through the banking system to the account of the contractors or service providers. Notwithstanding all of that, in terms of the safeguards that are there, I must make it clear that ministries do need to get up to date with their appropriations account submissions to the Auditor General. And we are committed, we at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service are committed to working with ministries that are behind in this in terms of putting additional resources in place in order to begin to help these ministries to clear the backlog and to ensure timely completion of these reports at the standard that is required by the Auditor General. The goal, of course, is to get to that place where these appropriations accounts are done in a timely manner and submitted within 4 months, I believe, FS, after the close of the fiscal year. Of note, and anybody in the accounting field would know that if your accounts are not audited in a timely manner, it is difficult. It takes a lot of time to go back and try to get it. And you will note, based on the listing in that same report that was published by the Gleaner, many of these appropriations accounts were outstanding during the period 2012-2013, which is the fiscal year 2012-2013, to fiscal year 2015-2016. So the new administration that came in at that time would have had a difficult time bringing those accounts up to speed, and that's what we're witnessing here now. But again, I say we are committed as a matter of good governance to ensure that ministries put in the effort to get these reports done. And I know, having had experience at the Ministry of Education and Youth at that time, when I realized how many years were not done, I had the experience of bringing in additional resources with the help of the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service to just dedicate their time to helping the finance department come up to speed. They're not quite there yet, but I am proud to report that they have submitted 3 years, the early years, to the Auditor General, and they have 2 following years at their internal audit within the ministry. It takes a lot of time and effort, but we have to do it. And I want to implore all the ministries that have not done so to really, really prioritize. And we're not just going to leave it at that. We're going to ensure that, the adequate resources are provided and that we begin to see the actual submissions of these reports. I want to acknowledge all the ministries that are up to date, and you are to be commended for that. And I just want to say again to Jamaicans, there are many safeguards in place for taxpayers' money and how we spend it, but I do agree that we need to complete that final step, which is to submit the annual reports to the Auditor General for whatever the Auditor General needs to do to approve those reports. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Minister. And again, there are no missing funds. We do not have missing funds in the public sector. And I've seen the reports, and I've seen even social media campaigns and letter writing campaigns that are happening based on false information. The reality is that some ministries have not finished doing their accounts, and that's a problem. But there are no missing funds, and I repeat that, there are no missing funds. The ministries are, as Minister showed you, all of us came with our yellow books, because in this book you have all of the expenditure that is being approved by the Parliament. Each of the ministries have ceilings, and there are ceilings along each of the categories, and they're not allowed to spend outside of that. There was a change in system, and as a result of that change in system, some of our ministries had issues in order to do the accounts. And anyone who knows anything about accounts, if you have an issue and you have a change in system, that often causes issues. And also, if you have issues getting the data from the previous system, you cannot do the next year. And so there are many challenges that were there. And I would urge the media especially to speak to some of the permanent secretaries. Our ministries are run by very capable permanent secretaries. And they have been working really hard to ensure that they are following the rules. Every single month, they send their cash flow reports to the Ministry of Finance. Every single month. And so they've had technical challenges in doing their appropriations accounts, and they've been fixing those challenges slower than we'd like, and slower than many of the ministries would have liked it to be. But because of the change in the system, it also caused a lot of concern. And so we are here this morning to say to Jamaica that there are no missing funds. And we have to keep saying it over and over again. In order for the Accountant General, the Auditor General to do their audits, they need it in a particular system, and that is what the ministries have been behind in putting their reports in that system so they can be audited. But they do, in fact, present reports every month to the Ministry of Finance. And so, thank you, Minister. I don't know if the Financial Secretary wants to add anything, but the Financial Secretary is here. And you know this is serious when we have the Financial Secretary. She's never usually at PostCab or any of these settings. But we have to set the record straight. And so we're going to open up for questions from the media at this point.
Thank you, Minister. Very important that we repeat. There are no missing funds. And you know how social media works. You have one headline, they run with that without correcting. Again, no missing funds. Let's start off with Mahiri, and then we'll go on the other side to Sashona.
Morning, Minister Williams. Mahiri from Nationwide here. Can you give me an update based on what the Finance Ministry's status is with the JMDA?
We met with the JMDA yesterday, and the meeting went on into the night. I am not at liberty to report on the discussions in those meetings, but suffice it to say we met, and it was a robust discussion that we had.
Okay. And secondly, a question to Minister Morris Dixon. So we've seen the Prime Minister's response to the Integrity Commission's report regarding Estate Bridge. What I want to ask you as Minister of Information, do you know whether or not the Prime Minister can state that do you know whether or not the Prime Minister can state categorically that at the time of the development in Beverly Hills, he wasn't a shareholder of Estate Bridge?
The Prime Minister was very clear in his statement, and the report was tabled yesterday in the House. I have not had a chance to go through it, and so I know we'll be reviewing it throughout the course of the day. But the Prime Minister's statement was very clear. He said many things. He thought that this was a transparent attempt at attacking his character. He was very clear on that. And I know that we in the Cabinet, we stand with the Prime Minister on this matter. And these are definitely matters that are before the court, and so I try not to speak about matters that are before the court. But the Prime Minister in his statement was very clear that he was not a director, he's not a shareholder, and he doesn't own the property. That was very clear in his statement, and that is what I would like to be reported. I do note that there were some reports overnight that had said things different than that. And I note that this morning there are some editorial notes under some of those reports, which means that individuals are now clarifying previous reports that had been made. It is really important, especially when we're dealing with someone's integrity and character, that we get the stories right and that we don't issue statements that are not completely accurate. And I see the reports being corrected, and I'm very happy for that, and I thank members of the media who have been correcting their stories overnight. That's important. But the Prime Minister was very clear about his relationship with this company and his surprise that he would have been named in it. And as I said, we'll be reviewing the report, and we'll make additional statements thereafter.
Minister, we have a question from CVM as well, but let me also acknowledge the presence of some of our students who are here, who are studying communication as well from the university and other institutions. CVM.
Thank you. Britannia Wishoff here from CVM. Just to follow up to that, Minister, can the Prime Minister effectively lead when his name has been linked to so many adverse IC findings?
I think the Prime Minister can definitely lead, and if you see what is happening, he is leading. He's leading our country very well. As I started this post-cabinet press briefing, I spoke about our unemployment rate at record low. When we got to 5%, I thought it was record, and we weren't going to go any lower. Then we went to 4%. Then we went to 3%, 3.6% unemployment. That is unheard of in Jamaica. And all of these things that we've seen where we are lauded around the world for, especially in terms of our economy, that was all done under the leadership of the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness. He is the one that has led us through COVID and led us beautifully through COVID. He is the one that has been steering us in terms of relooking the way we do infrastructure. When we look around our country, it looks completely different. If you ask any visitor who has not been to Jamaica for a while how they feel about Jamaica when they come here, they say it looks like a very different place, and it is a good thing. And that has been led, all of that has been led by our Prime Minister. And so this is an individual who has given his life to really supporting Jamaica in our dream of becoming a country that is seen as meeting its potential. That's what he has done. And so you may ask me, how do I feel about this? I personally feel really bad about what is happening. And I tell you why. Because I see someone who is working really hard, really, really hard for our country, and who I see his reputation being tarnished month after month after month. And what does he do? He gets up every day and he holds all of us in cabinet accountable. He tells us we're not doing enough. You have to do more. And Minister Williams is here, and she knows it. He keeps pushing us. Our country needs you to do more. And so this is someone who I admire, and this is someone who I would love to see more leaders like this in our country going forward. Leaders who are thinking big. Leaders who, in spite of any challenges, whether it's personal challenges to them or challenges to our country like a pandemic, get up and lead us well. And he has been doing that in spite of everything that has been thrown at him. And that says a lot about him and about his commitment to our country. I'm sorry, I feel very strongly about this. Very, very strongly about this.
Thank you, Minister. I see no further hands or questions on this, but just to ensure that we keep the focus on this, there are no missing funds. Very important as Minister Williams takes her seat. I see no other questions from members of the media, so I think we can proceed.
And I need a nod from the Financial Secretary. There are no missing funds, right, FS? Yes, FS nodded. and as I said, it is not usual for our Financial Secretary to be here, and she came here this morning with her Minister of Finance because it is something that we have to dispel. There are accounts that need to be done in a particular way, and those are being done. The ministries are working very hard. I know in my ministry, my PS there, she is working really hard with the finance team to do things that had not been done in the past. But do they still make their reports? They do their reports every single month. Every month a report is done. So there are no missing funds. And I will move on. One of the key issues last year when the CXC results came out was the performance of our students, especially in maths and also in English. The performance was a challenge. And many of us did not feel that those numbers that we saw, the statistics that we saw in terms of performance of our children was good enough. And so the ministry was charged with figuring out how we can help our children to perform better. And so the Ministry of Education has come up with what they call the tactical approach. And this is where we use strategies directed at the schools that are having challenges in getting good results at our external exams. And this morning, the last thing we will do is have our acting chief education officer come to you to tell Jamaica what the Ministry of Education is doing to support our schools who need a whole lot of support in getting our students to have the kind of results that all Jamaicans can be very proud of. And so this morning we have Dr. Terry Ann Thomas Gale, our acting CEO, who will now present to you.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Let me acknowledge our Minister, Senator, Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Cassan Trooper, and all our viewers, our teachers, our principals, and more importantly, our students, our parents, and all the educators. Good morning. All right, so coming out of the Jamaican Education Transformation Commission report, the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information, we were tasked with 365 recommendations. We call them the 7 pillars of change. And these pillars of change are governance and accountability, early childhood education, teacher curriculum and teacher training, the tertiary sector, TVET, infrastructure and technology, and finance. Now, what we have done in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information, we have embedded all these 365 recommendations under these 7 pillars into our daily operation. So it now becomes a part of our daily duties. And in order for us to transform, we change the way we've been doing things. As our minister said, the changes that we're looking at, particularly as it relates to the students' performance, because Jamaica will agree with me, in order for us to really say that we have improved, we have transformed, we look at our outputs. And the outputs are usually the students' performance at the different examinations level. While I will speak today about our tactical approach at the secondary level, we are indeed working at the early childhood level at the same time, as well as at the primary level. But I'll speak specifically to what is happening at the secondary level. And so our CSET data, looking at where we were in 2019, we were at 54.6%. And in 2024, we were surprised to see that our students, their performance dropped to 38.9%. But we're not daunted because we know that students' performance is dependent on a lot of variables. And while we don't have controls over everything, there are some that we do have control over. And we have been working assiduously in addressing these areas. So primarily, we are looking at mathematics, the students' performance in mathematics and English language at the CSEC level. Yes, I'm speaking to CSEC, but our students at grade 11, they also do the City and Guild and along other exams, but we're not seeing any drastic needs for improvement in those areas because our students who sit those exams continue to improve over time. The CSEC is one that has really been our target. And so we have a recipe for success. And we believe that if we have good teachers, we spend time in curriculum delivery, and good curriculum delivery that speaks to the pedagogy, we will have great passes. And so our tactical approach looks at three broad areas: the extended learning and teacher support, accountability, and performance tracking. And I'll go through, I'm not sure why the slide's not projecting accordingly, but when we speak to extended learning, as you will agree with me, more time spent on teaching and curriculum delivery will yield more students, better students' outcome. And so we are looking at extended learning going where the students are exposed to a minimum of 5 hours for mathematics and English language. We're also looking at students doing extended activities outside of the regular school curriculum delivery. These extended activities speak to camps, webinars, one-on-one sessions with experts in the areas. We have begun training professional development, our HODs, that's the heads of departments for English language and mathematics. They have begun several rounds of training as it relates to curriculum delivery, unpacking the curriculum, customizing the curriculum to the levels of the students that they have under their charge. I must point out that this tactical approach, while the math performance is across all the sector, we're targeting only 56 of our high schools. These 56 high schools, they are part of what we call the tactical approach, where we're doing more hand-holding with these principals, heads of departments, and the students. The extended learning and teacher support see us giving our teachers more support. What can we do? How can we help? So the ministry is no longer sitting at 2 to 4 National ERA Circle or in any of our regional offices. What we are indeed doing, we are within the walls of our schools. We are helping our teachers, our principals, in how it is that they meet the needs of these students. Our principals are very creative. They are very dedicated to the task, but we will all agree that it doesn't hurt to get more support. And that's what the Ministry of Education is doing through our QECs as well. We're building the capacity of our principals, our teachers. We need your support. And part of the extended learning and teacher support requires the entire Jamaica to be part of this initiative. Can you do math? Are you a lover of math? Are you an excellent English language person? You can volunteer. And so part of the extended learning, see our ambassadors, our English ambassadors, our math ambassadors being part of this initiative. Do you have an hour to spare? Can you go on a link and help a grade 11 student with a particular topic? This is how you play your part in ensuring that we help our students. And we have a website for that. We also, through this initiative, we have launched our Trend Ambassador program where persons are able to volunteer to help. It takes a village to make this change. And I like to reference Minister Akila and the Bee, that spelling bee movie, where in order for her to really win that spelling bee, the entire community becomes a part of it. And I'm encouraging the entire Jamaica to become a part of this tactical approach where we build the capacity of our teachers, our students in delivering the math curriculum. So the extended learning also see us looking at more student support, the webinars, the math questions of the day, the STEM learning. We're ensuring that through the curriculum delivery, the STEM methodology is used, where math is no longer seen as this abstract activity, but more of something hands-on. More the students are able to demonstrate, get more into doing it rather than being required to produce a document. The accountability. What gets monitored gets done. And we are very targeted in how it is that we initiate and we roll out the tactical approach. Monitoring is a critical part. And when we speak to monitoring and accountability, we're speaking at the school level, at the ministry's level, at the parents, at the home level. Parents now need to become a part of their children learning. Our teachers will be held accountable. Our principals will be held accountable. And I'm asking that the ministry also be held accountable, because everyone is responsible for how our students perform. And so through the accountability framework, our school boards, who are the direct supervisors for our schools, our principals, our school boards are a part of it. When we meet with our schools, our school board representatives, they are there, and they too are walked through how it is that the tactical approach should be rolled out within the school. So while the ministry has a national plan for the tactical approach, we break it down to the school level. So how it is that the school customizes this within the context of their wall. And our school boards have become a part of the process. They have been sensitized. They have been implementing at the school level. So when we speak to the accountability framework, we look at the school improvement framework. All schools are required to have a school improvement plan. The school improvement plans now must reflect what is being done to drive students' performance across the different subject areas. We have to celebrate. Our students will do well, and we will celebrate. And so we have put in place the performance tracking and celebration, where we're not only just dealing with the students as they are in front of us, but we're using all the data that we have on these students to ensure that the lessons that are done for these students are customized based on their level. And we have data. Coming out of the primary exit profile, we have data that shows how the students perform in the different skills areas across these subjects. So that data is used, and we're also implementing, and we have done, PS, our standardized 6-week test across these 56 schools. That data will also be pulled during the month of December, where we look to see the areas that are taught from September to now, the first term, how the children are doing in these areas. And then now, after we look at those performance, we will do another set of intervention where we do the hand-holding if needed. Scholarships and grants, where we have begun discussion as how it is that we'll put in place different awards and recognition for how it is that our students do. Our parents can help how it is that they contribute to the teaching and learning of your students. There will be scholarships that will be given to the students. They will be placed on our scholarship programs that we currently have in the ministry. So we look at top students, top schools, top teachers. And I know you're going to say, is it equal? Yes. When we're looking at top students, top schools, we're looking at the value that you add to the students that you get based on the performance data. So it's not a blanket that will be thrown over everyone, but the tactical approach treat each student at the level that they're at. It treats each school at the level at which you get the students and how you move them towards that success that we will reap come into the June exam. Why do I feel this way about this? We have proven it. Last year when we got it was 2022 PEP data for grade 5, and we saw how the students performed. We used the same approach at the primary level, and we saw the increased performance at grade 6. And we believe that our high schools are more than capable of improving the students. And so we are comfortable and we're optimistic that this will yield the success that we so desire. Thank you very much. Oh, Minister, the volunteer website, Minister. Sorry about that. All right, so in order for you to help, you can volunteer. The website is volunteer.trend-ja.com. So I'm looking forward to seeing persons volunteering to help, contributing to the success that we need for our students' performance. Volunteer.trend-ja.com. Thank you, Minister.
All right, thank you very much. And that was our Acting Chief Education Officer telling you about what we're going to be doing in relation to improving the CXC scores. We have our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Kassan Troop. She's here too. And I know we're near the end of our time here, but I will open it up for any additional questions that you may have.
Thank you, Minister. You know, it goes to show the heavy lifting that our technocrats are doing. It really is a partnership. And certainly getting issues like these out to improve the system. There's a real interesting debate online regarding extending the school hours, and I thought I would ask Dr. Gale or Dr. Troop and Minister too, if you would weigh in on that in terms of getting more from our students, if the government at this point would be looking at extending the school day as well.
Well, I think that's what you are doing in the tactical approach. I don't know what's wrong with this mic. Maybe I should go to the other one. Yeah, in the tactical approach, that is one element. It is extending the school day. It is also going into the Christmas holiday, too. That is very important. There's a lot of learning loss when we give holiday. And so the ministry is doing that, and they can come and tell you about it, but that is definitely one of the key components for these schools. And remember, these 56 schools that have been chosen, there was methodology behind it. So we looked at the Education Inspectorate, their reports, and we looked at the schools that were seen as not satisfactory, and those are the ones that have been identified as the ones where you have the interventions. And the interventions, as you heard, is helping the teachers to teach, do new methods. You know, that's what we look at it, look at new methodology. We also are going in and helping the principals. We're supporting the students more. You're having more people go in, some of the master teachers assisting them more. So it's multifaceted. And I know I shouldn't be speaking for the technocrats because they're the ones that have done such a fabulous job in putting it together. And one of the reasons they're here, and I should say this, is many people were not happy when the CXC results came out. And the ministry team was very responsive. They too are not happy with the results. And we can't just sit around and say we're not happy. We have to do things and we have to try things. And one of the key things with what we're doing is that we'll be able to figure out if it works and which elements work. And that's very important because we're always trying many things in Jamaica. but we want to know that what we're trying has impact. And so all along the way, they're testing and they're looking at the results of our students, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to implement programs that really work for our students.
Thank you, Minister. So we do have the extended days already in, as our Minister said. Our students currently are engaged after school hours. They're doing webinars. They have scheduled days in which they are online, and some are at the school level. There are Saturday classes that are going on. Come next week, the 16th PS to the 19th, there will be the Christmas camp where our math coaches, our heads of department for the math within our schools will have our students going through several, at least 4 modules from this curriculum syllabus, where they will have the students going through rigorous math session. There are marathons that have been established. A bulletin will be sent out outlining the different activities across the different months and different periods. So there will be webinars, math marathon, and everything that I say for math is happening at the same time for English language.
All right.
Mrs. Gale, really appreciate that update. All right, we have questions now. Let's go to CVM again.
Thank you. All right, so Minister, what are the next steps in terms of gangs in schools and security in schools, as we are seeing some students being found with weapons, or guns specifically?
All right, how much time do you have? This is something I could talk about all day long. Security and safety in our schools. When we think about safety in our schools, we're very limited often in terms of thinking about gangs and weapons. But when we talk about safety, we have to think about it more broadly, because our children do not wake up and want to have behavioral challenges. In many instances, there are challenges at home. There are challenges in the communities. And they come to school and they act out based on things that are happening in their environment. In some instances, they have undiagnosed learning challenges. In some instances, they have undiagnosed mental health challenges. And I say all of that because we have to look at why we have children acting out. And as a ministry, that's something that we're very much focused on. So we're looking at how we can have more counselors in our schools, because we understand that our students are coming with severe challenges. And some of those challenges are, for example, trauma in their lives. They hear gunshots every night and they're scared. I remember once talking to some children who told me when the gunshots were firing outside, they had to hide under the bed and how scared they were. And one of them said that they wet themselves. Those are the children we have in our classrooms. They're struggling. And so as a ministry, we have to recognize that they're struggling quite a bit. And so we've been looking at new programs. So for example, cognitive behavioral therapy in schools where we know we have a high percentage of children coming from communities where there's a lot of gang activity, so that we can help them to come to terms with some of the trauma they've been through and some of the challenges they're having in their lives. I'm telling you, our school environment is not the school environment that we grew up in. It is very different. And so we need to have different approaches to our schools than we currently do, especially those with students from very vulnerable communities. And we have seen it work. We have seen, working with the Ministry of National Security, you have different programs that we have. So we have school safety officers who are working in the schools. We also have, in many instances, the police forces doing more in the schools and patrolling the schools and coming and talking to the schools. Some of the police departments, they are also working with the cadet programs to try to help to instill discipline and also show a different path forward. In some of our schools, we've also had to link literacy with behavior, because some schools we saw a direct link between how our children were acting and whether or not they were really literate. And so when we talk about focus on literacy, it's not just because we want our children to be able to read, which is absolutely important, but we also understand that children who have literacy challenges, especially as teenagers, are ones who are going to act out in a classroom setting because their identity is under attack. You're being asked to do something you cannot do. And so you find behavioral challenges in those settings. And so obviously we have to work with the Ministry of National Security, but we also have to meet with and use our mental health practitioners to assist our students in our schools. They are struggling. Yesterday I was on RJR and I was talking about this. I didn't get enough time to develop the points. But I was giving the example of a school where we were in the media because of bullying. And that school was seen as a school that was having big challenges. And I heard people saying, wow, look how the picnic them bad. Well, let me tell you about that school. I went there because I saw the reports and I wanted to see it for myself, what was happening. I went to a school that had children who were primarily at the developing stage when they do PEP. So they're below the average, well below the average. I went to a school where half of the population were transfer students, meaning that they had been expelled in most instances from another institution. So they'd already felt rejection from somewhere else. And so you put all of that in one school, and then you also had undiagnosed mental health challenges. They were also from communities where there was a lot of gang violence, and you can see that those children are gonna struggle. The teachers were doing a lot. They were putting in a lot of work. The ministry gave them more guidance counselors than you would see in a typical school because the ministry understood that there are challenges in that environment. And we as Jamaica, you know, we see an incident that happens outside of the school and we say, oh, those picnic bad. But it's actually much more layered than that. And I know in a post-cap setting, I don't get enough time to really talk through those issues. But we have a serious parenting problem. We have a lot of parents who are neglecting their children, and that is a reality. At that same school where people said they were bad picnic, you had many instances where the school nurse told me she has to take the children to clinic because their parents do not do it. The children come to school day after day with challenges, health challenges, and no one in their family is taking them. And the school has to take on that role to make the appointment with the doctor, to make the appointment for them to get their teeth checked because they have a toothache. This is the reality in some of our schools. And so when we talk about safety, we need to broaden the conversation about really the well-being of our children. And so when you see them in school, they're really acting on everything that is around them in their environment. And we're doing as best as we can in the schools to instill the discipline, trying to reinforce their sense of identity. At that same school, everyone is well below where everybody else is when they come in. But guess what? They built a new block of classrooms, 3 classrooms, and all of the electrical work was done by the students, those same students that we said bad. They did all the electrical work. They did all the welding work. They do all the repairs across the campus. They have a school farm, and they are the ones raising all those animals. There are good things to come out of them. When I spoke to the deputy head girl at that same school, and I said, what are you going to do when you leave? She says, I'm thinking about going to college, but I could also just focus on my business. You know, I have a business already. And she's telling me how good her business is doing that she already has. These children have a lot of potential. And we at the ministry have to do what we can, but it's going to take an all-of-country effort to get to them because we are struggling with them. We're trying to keep them on the straight and narrow path, but there are people in their communities who see them as recruits for the gangs. And so it's work that we all have to do. And I'm sorry I gave you a long answer, but it is important that we contextualize what is happening in the schools. And yes, we have to work closely with national security, and we are going to also have to be working in the communities quite a bit more. I'm sorry.
No apology necessary, Minister. It's very comprehensive and involved, and really and truly, we can't be thinking linear when we look at education and violence anymore at all. All right, I told you that we had some students here and visitors. We do have a question from one of them.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alia Rogers. My question is for the Permanent Secretary. Congratulations on the creation of the program and the website to facilitate Jamaicans who wish to donate their time and talent in particular areas. Given the thrust to make learning more hands-on and practical, is there a way for persons to donate their hands-on resources and learning materials to the effort?
Good morning, Minister. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for stepping out and making the call, or maybe adding to the call. So not just about volunteering your time, but yes, Jamaicans, if you have resources that you'd like to give to your school, your alma mater, or any school within your community, we will be happy. So we have 7 regional offices right across this country. You can visit our regional offices and you can drop off your donation. We have our head office, of course, everybody knows, 2 to 4 Euro Circle. We'll be happy. We have Canewood office as well on Arnold Road. We'll be happy to receive your donations. As the CEO said, and as our minister just said, this is all hands on deck. And the resourcing of teaching and learning is absolutely critical to enriching their environment for our students. And that's what they deserve. And so we welcome every support. I must announce that we have 30 persons already who signed up on the volunteer portal, and we are engaging them in training. We are sensitizing them about the transformation agenda so they can be our voices in the field and they can champion the cause for change in their individual spaces. Come on board, colleagues, Jamaicans. We have the 16th to the 19th of the Christmas camp for mathematics. If you are an expert, if you love math, come on board. Give us an hour, half an hour. The children will be better for it. Let's join hands across Jamaica for transformation. Thanks.
Thank you, PS. And maybe I need to come to the camp too. I could do a class. I could teach a class on maths. All right. All right. Are there any other questions, or I can close out?
No, the questions.
Oh, wonderful. And thank you, Naomi, and thank you to our members of the media who are here. Please know that I really do appreciate you being here. That's why we do this every Wednesday morning. I am here as much as possible, and I am open to any questions that you have. No questions is off limits. This administration, as I keep saying, is all about transparency, and so we answer your questions. We're here to serve the public, and so any question you ask is fair game, and I thank you for your questions this morning. And we're beyond time, so I'll just say thank you all for watching. Those of you watching online or on television, I really do thank you. Thank you, as always, to our wonderful GIS team for doing this work. Thank you for members of the media who work to get the message out and also hold us to account as government. That's important. That's what your role is. And I'm very glad to be a part of an administration that really does believe in the freedom of the media and our responsibility to answer questions when they're asked to us. And so, as always, I say God bless everyone who's watching. God bless Jamaica, land we love. And I know we're near Christmas time. I ask you not to eat too much. I think the Minister of Health would say, and Wellness would say that we need to cut back on our sweet things. Everything in moderation. And of course, on the roads, we've seen the carnage on the road. We ask you to be very careful on the road. So God bless all of you, and God bless Jamaica, land we love.
The name Christmas comes from the phrase Christ's Mass. This term has its origins in Old English, specifically the word Christus Masse, which means Mass of Christ. The term was first recorded around 1038. The Mass refers to Christian religious ceremony commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ, with December 25th chosen by early Christians to celebrate this event. Over time, Christus Masse was shortened and evolved into the word Christmas, which we use today. The holiday combines various traditions and customs from both Christian and pre-Christian celebrations, but its name remains a reference to the religious aspect of the holiday. Merry Christmas!